I think that the situation has changed dramatically in the last 2 years, and it makes me realize that every trip that comes actually is very unique, and the things that you see and the things that you experience are very much a snapshot in time. The situation is changing so rapidly, and it's, I mean, from a daily to weekly basis. And I think that the ride would actually benefit from happening even more frequently.
You were involved in the organising this year. How was that?
Yeah, that again was a really different experience. For me, it was something that I felt I wanted to contribute after the first ride. I saw how much effort went into it, but voluntary effort from so many people, and I wanted to help in whatever way I could to make sure that this happened again. I believe it's so important that people have an exposure to Palestine, to the West Bank, and also the work that is done all throughout Europe is incredible. This time on this ride we focus so much more on working with solidarity groups all throughout Europe and on linking sort of different groups together as well, and being involved in organising that was really inspiring, because I mean you realise there are so many groups in Europe who are really active and who want to be really active, who use a trip like ours for publicising their own campaigns and getting their own message out as well as ours, and so it's quite a good symbiotic sort of relationship that you develop with people. What was incredible as well was linking neighbouring solidarity groups and committees. When we would sometimes have, on one occasion we actually linked some groups in Belgium who had never worked together but lived, you know, within 50 kilometres of each other. In between the Flemish and the French parts of Belgium, and that for me was an incredible experience. A really unifying experience for groups that worked on Palestinian solidarity already, but weren't even in solidarity with each other. So I mean, I think that the effects that it had throughout Europe in working with different groups, that was really quite an enlightening experience, and really the essence of what the ride is about, which is what we experienced throughout Europe before even coming to the West Bank. So being involved in organising at that level just made me realise, you know, how many people are so active, how many people want to be active, and how many people really are doing something to show their solidarity with Palestine.
Do you think this ride's been as effective as the first, or had more of an impact?
I think that this ride really built on the first ride, and I think in some ways, yes, I think in some ways it did have more of an impact than the first ride because it received much wider publicity, both in Europe and in the West Bank. I think that it would not have been possible without the amazing work that the first ride achieved. The first ride was almost like setting the scene, introducing the concept to people who had no idea what are a bunch of people getting on their bikes, going a bit mad and cycling through Europe, really trying to achieve. But in organising the second ride, then we had a basis for saying the first ride I felt like people were a bit unsure whether this was really something that would get off the ground. The second ride, we'd already proven ourselves, and people were much more willing to work with us, and we received much wider publicity because people had confidence in us. We received so much publicity this time. I think the third ride is just going to be something else.
Are you going to be involved?